I'm here with my friend Eric. Eric has traveled on his motorcycle across the Americas, really, and we're gonna interview him today. How did you find yourself in Colombia?
Well, I drove my Honda NC 700X from Minnesota down here. It took me better part of 2 years. We're gonna be celebrating 2 years in September. My entire trip has been this project that I decided to do, which is documenting how my life is as an American, as a Minnesotan, driving through every country in Latin America, living in every country in Latin America, and showing the most internationally friendly or internationally popular places to live in. And Medellin is definitely that one here in Colombia. That's why I'm here in Colombia now.
Tell me what that journey was like. What was maybe the most difficult thing? What was the coolest thing?
Probably I'll start with the most difficult things. Were probably just the border crossings. It's really time consuming. It's really a drag. I mean, and I had to pay a fine in Nicaragua, which is unexpected, and I was basically lied to. There's a lot more that goes into doing a trip like this than just a passport and getting visas. Now, the best things have been obviously like meeting amazing people and seeing amazing nature and basically seeing cultures that I haven't seen before. My two top places were, I would say, Nicaragua and probably El Salvador and Guatemala. Top three. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, how about to live? What are the top places that you found that are the best places that you could probably make a life?
Yeah, I would say Colombia is one of the top. Probably El Salvador is becoming a really big one right now. Nicaragua is an untapped, really uncommon one to go to, and I think that one's probably one of the best kind of like hidden gems. So that'll be some of the top ones.
By the way, if you're coming to Medellin for a short-term visit but don't want to do all of the planning and all of the research, I've created the Medellin Made Easy course. It's a whole course that will help you make your trip absolutely amazing. I've been here for 14 years, so I've taken all of that information along with all of my top picks, like the best restaurants, best hotels, best tours to do out here, to something as rudimentary as like what are the entry requirements to the country, etc. We've put it all together in that course. Go check it out. It's the Medellin Made Easy course. The link is in the description below. Why did your opinion change about the city?
Well, you know how it was back pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
How you lived here.
Yeah, I've been here since 2010.
2010. So you know the massive changes that I didn't see before 2019. But 2019 for me, I lived in Laureles.
Right.
And I went back to I can't even say that right. Laureles to go make my content for my channel to show, hey, this is the neighborhood I lived in. I showed my house. And I was like, man, this place is like, it's so much more bumping. There's so many more foreigners, so much more action. I mean, it was, La Setenta, I lived on La Setenta. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this place is great. And, I really liked it when it was like calmer and more local. My best ideal location is a place where you're a bit more exotic and more kind of inside the local scene. Whereas I think Medellin has become and might continue to become more and more internationally influenced.
You mentioned that you were extorted. What was that about?
I was going to the Municipalidad Envigado, so the main square at Envigado, which is the municipality right next to Medellin and right south of Poblado here. Anyways, I went there to go make content for my channel, promoting the place. I thought, oh, this is a great spot. I lived here back in the past, and I wanted to say, hey guys, come here. This is the place to be. I went to the park. I saw an area that was like, I had enough space for my bike. There was no signs for no parking. A transit cop comes running to me as I start recording. He's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm gonna go record a video. I'm making a video about your municipality. No, you can't leave your bike there. I'm like, there's no signs that say no parking. He's like, well, you can't. I'm like, well, I'm a foreigner. I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't mean to, but can you tell me where to put it? He's like, not here. Like, I knew from the beginning he was just like really just not into me. He was really not like gonna make it easy for me. He told me to do something illegal. So when I asked for directions, he said, go turn left and left. And when I did that, another cop stopped me. And they said, oh, you did an illegal turn. I'm like, well, I just did what the other transit cop told me to do. Yeah. And then they stopped me. By the way, you ran a red light. I'm like, I didn't run a red light. They're like, yeah, like when you pulled out of the park, you ran a red light. I'm like, no, but I pulled out and I was 10 feet in front of the red light. Right. Well, I wasn't behind it. I didn't run any light. I was parked and then I started and I went. Right. Like, nope, you ran a red light. We're impounding your bike. So anyways, long story short, I was telling them I was trying to promote their municipality. They didn't want my promotion, evidently, and charged me $500 for it.
Wow, that's insane.
Impounded my bike. It took me 36 hours to get it out.
Wow, definitely leave you with a bitter taste in your mouth.
Very bitter, my man.
All right, since you've been here, obviously you've lived here and you're now back, who would you recommend Medellin for?
Medellin's a very diverse place, and it has really so many things to offer to so many different types of people. I mean, people that are looking for a super luxurious, like high class, higher cost type of atmosphere. I mean, Poblado, Provenza, it's fantastic for that. There's lots of great international cuisine. If people want to save money and they want to live like a local, I mean, there's great options for people like that here as well. Maybe other cities might be better for it, but Medellin definitely has that.
Okay.
And yeah, so it just depends on who you are, but it has probably a little bit of something for anyone. So people that are getting near retirement age and who are already retired and who are thinking about moving from maybe where they're living now to a new place. And yeah, I definitely could say that this place would be a good option for certain types of them, yeah.
Well, that's really good information. By the way, I've linked his channel, Generic Expat. Generic Expat, go check it out. I've linked it in the description below. What are the pros and the cons of Medellin now that you've been back for a little bit?
Obviously Medellin, a huge part of coming here is the weather.
Yeah.
Weather in the Goldilocks zone, 1,300 to 1,800 meters, that's just the best on the planet for me.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's different, obviously. I'm from Minnesota, so I don't like it super, super hot, but I don't like it as cold as Minnesota either. Right. Minnesota is just ridiculous.
I don't think even Minnesotans like that.
No, almost no one does. Medellin has, you know, the typical 15 Celsius to 27, so that's like 65 to 85. Yeah. It's amazing, so that's number one, definitely. Okay. Number two would be perhaps the people, because people are really friendly here. Yeah. I mean, even though I was mistreated and abused so much by the police, when I tell my story, everyone is so kind and so encouraging, and you know, so like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You know, like they obviously have a big heart, and you know, when I'm driving my bike around, oh my God, the people, like, they literally stop me at every stop, like, hey, where are you from? What are you doing? Like, they talk to me while I'm driving, too. While I'm driving, they're like, hey, guy, we're both like flying at 50 miles an hour. Like, hey, what are you doing? Where are you from? I'm like, what? This is so dangerous. And I still talk to them because it's fun. But I mean, the people here are fantastic, you know? Okay. And Medellin has a lot of like natural beauty. Like, look at this. Yeah. You know, we're in the middle of a city.
Yep.
So Medellin, for a place that has like both a big city, but also like a foresty, green feel. I mean, it's just a great, kind of like the best of both worlds for this type of thing. Like the mixture of city and park, or city and forest or jungle, it's amazing. Now, if we want to go to the three cons, you know, types of tourism that people are not definitely fond of, the locals are not fond of it.
The S-tourism.
It's a negative thing for the city, it's a negative thing for foreigners. And I know just being surrounded by that atmosphere is just uncomfortable, because you know, when you're a foreigner and you're like trying to like show people that you appreciate them, and all they think about is, oh, you're, you know, doing bad things in my city. It's like, oh man, I'm not here to do that. Like I'm not them.
We're not all like that.
Exactly. And you know, you can't blame people for generalizing, because you know, everyone in their own way generalizes on most things. Right. They just, you know, make their opinion the best they can on what information that's given. And you know, that TV, I mean, whenever I turn on the TV, foreigner died, or foreigner, you know, tourism is like, every single day, you know, so that's probably the biggest con, I'd say, is that atmosphere of kind of getting soured feelings between locals and expats or tourists as well. Another one would be cost of living. So this city is, you know, when I talk to locals, they're like, oh my God, I had to leave Medellin. It's so expensive right now. And I'm like, you know, actually I came back here after living here in 2019, 2020, and I think the prices have around doubled.
Yeah.
So in only 3 or 4 years, double. I mean, that's a lot. And for people that are earning almost the same wages as 4 years ago, they can't afford that. And I mean, even for foreigners, it's like, okay, well, you know, maybe that's good for the owners of properties here. For example, you know, people that have businesses and properties here, they're gonna be like, oh my God, you know, double value, amazing.
Make it more.
So yeah, that's a pro for them. But I say a con in general for both foreigners and locals is that, you know, it's just becoming kind of a place where it's like kind of squishing out locals and squishing out certain types of people that maybe want to enjoy it. I mean, obviously for foreigners, it's still like pretty reasonably priced, but it's, you know, places like this, it's like getting pretty expensive. So, I mean, I don't know, I guess the gentrification for me is not always caused by foreigners coming in and like, you know, buying things and using their, you know, foreign currencies. But I mean, you know, they do have an influence. We do have an influence. Right. So it's, you know, you don't want to say that it was 0% our fault, but it's definitely not 100% our fault.
Yeah, that's true.
And then number 3, I would just go back to my extortion. And I would say just corruption.
Yeah, corruption is horrible.
Corruption is pretty bad. I mean, I never had a problem when I lived here before. I think perhaps with the more tourism and the more foreigners here, and with that bad, bitter attitude of locals to foreigners, maybe that's going to continue getting worse. So I would say that's probably another con. It happened to me personally. I obviously lost a bunch of money, and I'm very bitter about it. But yeah, that would be probably con number 3.
What would be the number one thing for someone to look out for, especially if they're like us that are middle-aged guys? I don't know, how old are you first of all?
I'm 36.
Okay, middle-aged guys, single, maybe coming out here to meet people, maybe even try to find love or something. What would be the number one thing for someone to look out for like that?
It's a pretty interesting question. Definitely a big popular thing to come to Medellin for, because it's just well known that the people here are just very attractive, very good looking people. Medellin has a good, vibrant dating scene, but there's also there's a dark side. So I would say the number one thing to look out for is there is a mafia controlling some sides of this dark side, some parts of this dark side that is in the dating market and the dating scene. So I've seen in your videos, you've mentioned it a few times, scopolamine, right? The date drug, or I'm not sure exactly what they call it, but it's a drug that definitely knocks you out and has killed many people. I mean, you have to be really using your common sense, your street smarts, you know, meeting reliable people in public places, and, you know, not just like going after a person that says they throw themselves at your feet to go directly to you right away. I mean, that's like, it should be a red flag, but I mean, maybe some people that haven't traveled or haven't been really deep into dating scenes, that's things to look out for. That's number 1.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you so much.